Hi guys, another book review. I should probably do one of these about once a week, but this just happened to arrive today, and I just happened to have a bit of peace and quiet. I don't normally buy new textbooks on astronomy, as I keep saying, unless they contain any new information in them. And this one here, I purchased it not only because I know the eccentric Yorkshireman Brian Jones, who's written it, and Brian Jones. He's a fantastic fella. I'm often chatting to him on the phone, and he also writes he continues to write the old yearbook of astronomy that Sir Patrick Moore used to write before he sadly passed away. And he continues with that baton, bless him, which is a massive undertaking for him to take. And I find myself buying it whether I read the thing or not. It was co-written by Catherine Rayner, whose role in the book I'm not really so sure. I'm not so familiar with Catherine. We have spoken. She collects stamps as a hobby, mainly astro-related stamps and space-related. And obviously she has co-authored with Brian on this book. The reason why this little number is a bit more different to run-of-the-mill is this isn't just any old star atlas. He hasn't gone in to talk about where the star atlas, lunar atlas. He hasn't gone into talk about where the craters are, although they are obviously named and their locations pointed out. The book isn't about that. What he's decided to do is pretty much write about that. Who's who on the moon or in the moon. So if we look at the book, and I notice my fingers are a little bit sweaty here, and I don't want to ruin a good book. He's obviously written the editor's forward. But he's gone into some detail about the lunar basics, which you'd expect in any book on the moon, I suppose. So this information you may have elsewhere. But lovely crisp pictures. And then he talks about the moon and a lot about the people who these craters are named after and a bit about their background. Now that approach doesn't come as any surprise from Brian Jones, because if anybody knows Brian Jones, he's very good at writing his almost daily obituaries. So he'll post about, this 100 years since or 109 years since the birth of or the death of, and he'll be a famous astronomer. And he'll give quite a narrative about them and who they are. And I said, it's a shame you don't put these into a book. And he hinted that he was going to do so in a way. And I guess this is where it is. And he's got some writings here on Plato, Fontel, Pythagoras. What do I mean? Pythagoras, who I'm guessing is the chap we got the Pythagoras theorem to thank for. And he's talking about a lot of these people. He's given a brief background of them. So it's probably quite a nice reference book. So it's the one to come to if you want to know who a crater's named after. And it must have taken an extraordinary amount of research to do this. And of course, there's some fantastically crisp. I mean, there's John Frederick Herschel there, where he's got a crater 156 kilometres named after him. Born in Slough, Buckinghamshire. And, the father of the great William Herschel. And of course, we've all heard of his sister, Caroline Herschel. And, there's quite a lot of narrative here about who the craters are named after. Caroline Herschel, we've just discussed her. There she is. So she's got a crater named after her as well. And doubtless William, her brother, somewhere as well. And it gives a bit of a narrative on them. I've bought this primarily out of support of Brian because I'm a huge fan of what he does. But also because I think it's quite a nice little number to have around. Julius Caesar's even there, okay. And it's a flooded crater, 85 kilometres diameter. So, who's going to be interested in this then? I mean, certainly this goes a bit beyond just pointing your telescope at the moon. Oh yeah, that's Copernicus. Oh yeah, that's Tycho. If you want to know a bit more about who they're named after, this is probably the book to take a look at. And I don't believe there are too many books on the moon that have done this. This is really quite a unique book. And I've bought it, I guess, a lot for that reason. So I've just mentioned Copernicus, and he's mentioned there with the crater, which is quite a large one on the moon. You can't easily ignore that. And then it's in black and white, it appears, although I did see a colour picture earlier on. But then the moon doesn't present in colour, does it, to be fair? But there's an awful lot here. The George Airy Biddle, who's an English astronomer and mathematician. He was also at the Royal Greenwich Observatory for a while. So it's a pretty good book. I mean, I'm not convinced, unless you're going to find any use in it, you'd pay the £25 for it. It's on hardback, and I believe it's in hardback or Kindle. I'm glad I've bought it. I bought it more in sort of solidarity with my mate Brian Jones. Not that he buys many of mine, but then again, I've not bought many of his too. I've not written many for him to buy. So it's quite a good book. I'm certainly going to read it in more detail. It's good to know in detail some of the creators you're looking at. If you're doing your GCSE and you've got a few spare quid to spend, it could be worth the investment, or even borrow it from the library if you can, just to learn about some of the creators, because that is something we don't do enough of in astronomy. We're very quick to take pictures, but we're not very adept to learning what we're taking pictures of, and that's a lot of the problem in astronomy, I think. But is that people's fault, or is that just the media? I don't know. But either way, that book seems to me to be quite a nice little number. Would I recommend it? Yeah, if you've got that kind of interest. I wouldn't have said it's a must-have for the amateur astronomer to have on the bookshelf, but it's certainly a nice addition and makes a bit of evening reading if you want to read a little bit more about how the more well-known features of the moon got their names. So, yeah, I thought I would just post a couple of words on that book, and I can't post any links to it, but it is in Amazon. I bought that copy off of there. So yeah, certainly worth taking a look at if you can acquire the book. I do think it's a bit expensive for what it is, but then again, are many people going to be buying it? Probably not. It's a bit specialised, and I don't take anything for the amount of research that Brian and Katrina must have put in to produce the book. I know Brian is a meticulous researcher himself, and so great respect to him for putting that together. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say on it. Yeah, I mean, if you buy it, hopefully you'll get some enjoyment from it. And I do that because it helps to support other people in the field who are taking that trouble to write books, in astronomy and so forth. But that's all I've got to say on it, and thank you for watching.